You wake up and linger a little longer in bed. Your legs feel heavier. Your back protests with every movement. You look in the mirror and see someone who looks tired, fragile, dependent. And then comes that question that haunts you in silence. Will I be able to live my final years with dignity? Will I end up in a wheelchair, unable to do the simplest things on my own? Will I be a burden to my family? I know exactly what it's like to wake up every day with that fear because I've felt it myself. I'm 77 years old today, and for a long time, I thought getting old meant accepting decline, accepting that my body would simply give up on me. But I was completely mistaken, and what I'm about to tell you now can change everything for you, can give you back the hope you thought you'd lost. Because there's a huge difference between someone who reaches 90 walking on their own 2 feet and someone who doesn't even come close. And that difference has nothing to do with genetics, luck, or destiny. It has to do with 5 physical capabilities that you can train, improve, and regain, even if you think it's too late. I know because I did it. At 68, I could barely climb a flight of stairs without getting winded. Today, at 77, I walk 5 miles a day, play with my great-grandkids on the floor, travel alone, and live with total independence. And it wasn't a miracle. It was science. It was determination. It was understanding that our bodies aren't machines that just break down with time. They're systems that respond to what we do with them. Everything changed for me when my doctor told me something I'll never forget. I had just turned 70 and was in for my routine checkup. He looked at me with that serious expression and said, "You have 2 choices. Either you start moving for real now, or in 5 years, you'll be dependent on someone for everything." Simple as that. No beating around the bush, no maybes, no, let's see how things go. He was direct. Your physical capabilities are declining too fast, and if you don't reverse this now, it will be irreversible. That hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd always been active, always worked, always thought I was strong. But the truth is, I was fooling myself. I was weak, deconditioned, losing mobility without realizing it. And the worst part was, I thought it was normal, that it was just part of getting older. I discovered it wasn't. I discovered that the vast majority of limitations we associate with old age don't come from age itself. They come from inactivity, from years and years of letting the body weaken without doing anything to prevent it. And you know what shocked me the most when I started researching this? Realizing how many people my age are suffering from exactly this right now, losing their abilities, losing their independence, thinking there's no way out. Tell me something. Do you also feel like your body is betraying you? That you can no longer do things that were once so easy? Write in the comments, "I feel like I've lost the ability to..." And finish with what you miss most. It could be climbing stairs, it could be bending down, it could be walking without getting tired. Whatever it is. Because when we share it, when we put it into words, we realize there are a lot of people in the same boat. And your comment might give someone else the courage to start taking action too. So tell me, what do you feel you've lost? The first capability that determines whether you'll reach 90 with quality of life is something so basic you can't even imagine its importance: balance. It seems simple, it seems trivial, but balance is the difference between living autonomously and living in fear of falling. Did you know that falls are the leading cause of loss of independence in older adults? That a fall can be the beginning of the end for many people our age? Well, yes. I saw it happen with my best friend, Roberto. He was 72, healthy, active, traveled, enjoyed life, until one day he slipped in the bathroom. He broke his femur, couldn't walk for 3 months. When he finally started walking again, he was never the same. He lost his confidence, lost his strength, started being afraid to leave the house. He died 2 years later, not from the fall itself, but from everything that came after it. The immobility, the depression, the isolation, all because he lost his balance for a second. Now tell me, when was the last time you tested your balance? When was the last time you stood on one foot for 30 seconds? It sounds like a joke, but it's not. If you can't stand on one foot for at least 20 seconds without support, your risk of falling in the coming years is extremely high, and falling after 70 isn't like falling when you were 20. Falling after 70 can end your life. The second capability is leg strength. I'm not talking about getting strong like an athlete. I'm talking about having enough strength to get up from a chair without using your arms, to climb stairs without holding onto the railing, to walk without shuffling your feet. Your legs are your engine. They're what keep you moving. They're what give you freedom. When your legs weaken, everything crumbles. You stop going out. You stop doing things. You become more and more dependent. And the more you stay still, the weaker your legs get. It's a vicious cycle that slowly devours your independence. I saw this happen with my own mother. She lived to be 89, but the last 5 years were terrible. She couldn't walk properly anymore. She lived sitting down. She needed help with everything. And what hurt me the most was knowing it didn't have to be that way. If she had strengthened her legs earlier, if someone had explained the importance of it to her, she could have lived those last years with much more dignity. But no one told her. No one warned her. And she kept losing strength until she couldn't react anymore. Mobility is the third and perhaps most overlooked capacity. Mobility is being able to move with full range of motion, being able to bend down to pick something up off the floor, being able to reach something high up, being able to twist your body without stiffness. Do you think it's normal to get stiff as you age? Do you think it's normal to no longer be able to tie your own shoes, to no longer be able to look behind you when driving, to no longer be able to turn over in bed without pain? It's not normal. It's the result of years without stretching, without moving your joints through their full range, without taking care of flexibility. And the consequence of that is devastating. You become trapped in your own body. Every movement becomes an effort. Every simple task becomes a challenge. You start avoiding things because they hurt, because they're difficult, because you can't reach anymore. And the less you do, the worse it gets. I went through it myself. There was a time I couldn't tie my sneakers without sitting down. I couldn't look over my shoulder when backing up the car. I had back pain just standing for a few minutes. I thought it was just part of getting older. But when I started doing simple stretches every day, when I started truly moving my body, in just a few weeks, I felt a difference. In a few months, I had regained movements I thought were lost forever. The fourth capacity is cardiovascular endurance. Your heart, your lungs, your ability to sustain effort without getting tired too quickly. This is what allows you to walk long distances, climb hills, play with your grandkids, travel, live. Without cardiovascular endurance, You're a prisoner of fatigue, a prisoner of shortness of breath, limited to the couch and the bed. I had an uncle who died at 74. In the last few years of his life, he barely left the house. He'd say he got tired easily, that he had no energy. We thought it was laziness, a lack of willpower. It wasn't until after he passed that we understood. His heart was weak. His lungs were weak. His whole body was deconditioned, and he was ashamed to talk about it, ashamed to seem weak. So he pretended everything was fine while he faded away in silence. He died of a sudden heart attack, but really he died little by little, losing capacity, losing life, long before his heart finally gave out. And you know what else makes me furious? Is that he could have avoided it. All it would have taken was a half-hour walk each day, just moving his body, taking care of his cardiovascular health. But he didn't know. Nobody had explained it to him, and by the time he realized, it was too late. The fifth and final capacity is motor coordination. It sounds like something for kids, but it's not. Motor coordination is what allows you to react quickly when you trip, what allows you to catch something that's falling, what allows you to adjust your movement to avoid bumping into something. When you lose coordination, you become sluggish, clumsy, dangerous to yourself. Small obstacles become traps. Simple situations become risks. You drop things, trip on rugs, bump into furniture corners, get hurt doing silly things. And every injury is a painful reminder that you're not who you used to be. I had a neighbor who was always getting hurt. She'd bang her knee on the table, drop things, burn her hand on the stove. We thought it was funny, made jokes about it. But there was nothing funny about it. She was losing coordination, losing control of her own body, until one day she fell down her front steps. It wasn't a bad fall, just a stumble, but she couldn't catch herself, couldn't react in time. She broke her wrist, hit her head. She became afraid of stairs after that, became afraid to walk alone. And little by little, she isolated herself, lost the life she had. Now, let me tell you the truth nobody wants to hear. The big lie everyone believes is that these capacities simply disappear with age and there's nothing you can do about it. That it's natural to lose balance, lose strength, lose mobility, lose everything. But that's a complete lie. Scientific studies show you can regain muscle strength even after 80. They show you can improve balance at any age. They show your body continues to respond to stimuli, continues to adapt, continues to be capable of improvement. The problem is that most people give up before they even try. They accept decline as inevitable. They sit in their chairs and wait for the end to come. And then there really is no way, not because the body can't improve, but because the person isn't doing anything to improve. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You believe it's no use to try, so you don't try, and then you really don't improve, and then you think you were right all along. But you were wrong. You were sabotaging yourself. When my doctor gave me that ultimatum, I could have given up. I could have thought that at 70, it was too late. But something inside me refused to accept it. I started slowly, very slowly. I started walking 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes. It seemed ridiculous, but it was all I could do without getting too tired. After 2 weeks, I increased it to 15 minutes, then to 20. In 2 months, I was walking half an hour every day. I started doing simple balance exercises, standing on one foot while brushing my teeth. It seemed silly, but it made a difference. I started doing squats, holding onto a chair. 5 repetitions at first, then 10, then 15. I started stretching every day, simple movements, nothing extreme, just enough to regain a little range of motion. And you know what happened? In 3 months, I felt a real difference. I could climb stairs more easily. I could get out of a chair without using my hands. I could bend down to pick things up off the floor. In 6 months, I had regained capacities I thought I had lost forever. And today, 7 years later, I'm better than I was at 70, much better. But here's the part that haunts me the most. I see people my age, sometimes even younger, who could be doing the same thing, who could be regaining their capacities, but they don't. They sit around complaining that their bodies don't respond anymore, that it's all lost, that it's no use. And I want to shake these people. I want to shout, it is useful. Your body still works. You can still improve. But nobody believes it, because we were raised in a culture that treats old age like an illness, like an end, like inevitable decline. And it's not. Old age is just a phase of life, a phase that can be lived with quality, with independence, with dignity. Or it can be lived with suffering, dependence, and limitation. The choice is yours. Not entirely yours, of course. Some things are beyond our control. Illness happens. Accidents happen. Genetics play a role. But within what's in your control, you have much more power than you imagine. All right? I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself when you answer. Can you stand up from a chair without using your hands? Can you stand on one foot for 20 seconds without wobbling? Can you bend down and touch your toes, or at least get close? Can you walk for 20 minutes without getting winded? Can you climb a flight of stairs without needing to stop and catch your breath halfway up? If you answered no to 2 or more of these questions, you're at risk. Risk of losing your independence in the coming years. Risk of becoming dependent on others. Risk of ending up in a wheelchair or bed when it's not truly necessary. And the tragic part is, you still have time to change things. You still have time to reverse it. You still have time to train these abilities and ensure you'll reach 90, reach 100 walking on your own 2 feet. But you need to start now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you're feeling better. Now, let me tell you something that completely shifted my perspective. Every day you spend doing nothing, not moving your body, not training your abilities, you're losing a little bit of them. That's how it works. There's no maintaining. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no middle ground. Your body is constantly adapting. If you use it, it gets stronger. If you don't use it, it gets weaker. It's that simple. So when you procrastinate, when you say you'll start later, you're not just postponing improvement. You're allowing decline. You're allowing your abilities to continue to slip. And the more they decline, the harder it is to reverse. There comes a point where it truly becomes impossible, but that point is much further away than you think, much further than most people get. Most people give up long before they reach their body's actual limit. They give up because it's hard, because it hurts a little, because it's uncomfortable, because it's easier to just sit. I understand the temptation to give up. I really do, because I've felt it too. There were days I woke up with absolutely no desire to walk. There were days my body ached and all I wanted was to stay in bed. There were days I thought, what am I even doing this for? What's the point of all this effort? I've lived my life, I've worked, I've done my part. Why can't I just rest now? And you know what kept me going? It was thinking about my grandkids. It was thinking that I wanted to see them grow up. I wanted to be there for their weddings. I wanted to meet my great-grandkids. I wanted to travel with my wife for a few more years. I wanted to live, not just exist. I wanted dignity, not dependence. And to have that, I needed to take care of my body. I needed to do the uncomfortable, the difficult, the boring stuff, because the alternative was far worse. If I could talk to my 65-year-old self, I'd say, start now. Don't wait until you're 70. Don't wait for the doctor to give you an ultimatum. Don't wait until you feel pain. Don't wait until you lose your abilities. Start now training your balance. Stand on one foot every day. Walk on imaginary lines on the floor. Challenge your balance in safe ways. Start now strengthening your legs. Do squats, even if it's just 5 a day to begin with. Climb stairs whenever you can. Get up from your chair without using your arms. Start now working on your mobility. Stretch every day. Move your joints through their full range. Don't let your body stiffen up. Start now taking care of your cardiovascular health. Walk every day, even if it's just 15 minutes. Gradually increase. Your heart needs to work. Your lungs need to work. Start now training your coordination. Do movements that require precision. Pick up small objects. Practice complex movements. Keep your brain and body connected. And I'd tell my younger self one more thing. Stop thinking you have all the time in the world, because you don't. Nobody does. Time is passing right now as you read this. Your body is changing right now. Every hour that goes by without you doing something is an hour less of quality life. I know that sounds dramatic. I know it might sound like an exaggeration, but I've seen too many people lose everything by putting off the obvious. I've seen too many people die before their time, or worse, live for years in suffering, in limitation, in dependence, all because they didn't take care of their bodies when they still had the chance. And I don't want you to be another one. I don't want you 10 years from now to be in a wheelchair looking back with regret, thinking, I could have done something. I had the chance. Why didn't I take it? Today I'm 77 years old, and I'm in better physical shape than I was at 70. That's not normal, I know, but it's possible. And if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. I'm not special. I don't have privileged genetics. I don't have access to miracle treatments. I just decided not to give up. I decided I was going to fight for my body, for my independence, for my life. And it worked. I walk 5 miles a day now. I do strength training 3 times a week. I stretch every day. I constantly work on my balance. And the result? I travel by myself. I drive without problems. I play with my great-grandkids. I carry my own luggage. I climb stairs without getting tired. I live with total autonomy, and I intend to keep it that way for a lot longer, because now I know the secret. Now I know that my body responds to what I do with it, and as long as I keep doing it, it will keep responding. The difference between those who reach 90 with a good quality of life and those who don't lies in these 5 abilities: balance, strength, mobility, cardiovascular endurance, and coordination. Train them, and you have a real chance of living well until the end. Ignore them, and you'll lose your independence long before you die. And losing your independence is, in many ways, worse than dying. It's living dependent on others. It's living without being able to do what you want. It's living like a prisoner of your own body. I don't want that for you. You shouldn't want that for yourself. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay seated, waiting for the worst to happen? Or are you going to get up right now and start doing something about it? If you made it this far, it's because something in this story resonated with you. Maybe you're starting to feel your body change. Maybe you've already lost some abilities. Maybe you're scared of what's ahead. I get it. I've been there. But I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you still have time. This channel exists for people like us, people who want to live well until the end, who want to maintain their dignity, their independence, their life. Subscribe here to get more content on how to take care of your body after 60, how to regain abilities, how to live a quality life even as age advances. Give this a thumbs up if this video made you reflect on what you need to change. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 abilities do you most need to work on? Balance, strength, mobility, endurance, or coordination? Tell me what's your biggest challenge right now. Your comment can help others going through the same thing. Let's build a community of people who refuse to give up on their own bodies. Because time is ticking. But as long as you're still here, you can still do something about it.